What is up, guys? Dirty Boot Sports here, and we are here with another interview. This time we got Jordy Culotta from Baton Rouge. He's a big Saints, LSU guy. We're really excited to have him. I know this is Peyton. He's been really looking forward to this one. So, yeah, we're going to just talk about his career a little bit and then just talk some Louisiana sports like everybody loves. So, let's get into this. So, Jordy, introduce yourself and just kind of let everybody know who you are, what you do, and everything.
Yeah, boys, I appreciate y'all having me, man. My name is Jordy Culotta from Baton Rouge. I'm in digital media and been there for about a year and a half. We do some podcasting Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. And we also have a media agency where we're, applying our skills to helping people with digital marketing, advertising campaigns, whether it be helping them with their social media, search engine optimization, website optimization, website design, e-commerce websites, all the things that are going into marketing here in 2022 and beyond. So we're all in the digital space. We've got some other shows under our umbrella over at FM Digital Media. We've got the Jordy Culotta Show that runs 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Mikey Matuk, former LSU All-American baseball player, big leaguer, goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday and Wednesday, 6 to 8. Fridays, 4:30 to 6. Rohan Davey, former All-SEC quarterback, goes Thursday, 6 to 8. And then Skip Burtman and Dan Canterbury are on right now with Hold the Rope as they go 6 o'clock till, somewhere around 7:30 or 8 o'clock each week. Right now, as you and I are talking, Skip is sitting down with Jay Johnson. So after your audience logs off of your podcast tonight, they can go over to Hold the Rope and check out a cool conversation between Skip and current head coach Jay Johnson. So all of that's happening under our roof and over at our studio. So we got a lot of exciting stuff happening, and really kind of in embracing the movement of digital media, much like you guys are doing up there in North Louisiana.
Yeah, it sounds like I got a full house down there for sure.
It's fun, man. It's fun trying to bring in more talent, more host, more, the way that I look at the media side is that, we're developing a television station. We're giving people programming in the morning, 7 to 9 a.m. We're trying to scatter some programming throughout the day. Shay Dixon and I have been doing some recruiting stuff that pops up in the middle of the day. Tomorrow we'll have Mike Norvell. Yeah, Mike Norvell, the Florida State head football coach, will be on tomorrow at 2:00 in the afternoon. So, the beautiful thing about this space is, we're not restricted by listening boundaries. There's no listening lines. We've got advertisers that spend with us in New Orleans and Lafayette. We've had some calls come in from Houston, from people that are watching and interested in spending on the show. So, and there's no boundaries to the listening area. You guys catch the show up in North Louisiana. I can catch your show down here in South Louisiana. It's a really creative, cool medium that if you embrace it, I believe the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're all big sports fans, and we have been for a while. And, we've always had the idea, we have all this knowledge. Let's just put it into a podcast. And we finally did it a couple months ago. And we're loving it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
When was the time where you wanted to, take that step into sports media? Do you remember the moment or anything, or the journey?
No, absolutely. Look, growing up, I knew, I was limited, man. I knew I was going to be around sports. I knew I had to be. I loved it. I was passionate about it. I thought that I was going to be a sports agent. I thought that I was going to be a basketball coach. I thought that I was going to be a sports reporter. I knew at some point I just wanted to be around it. And after some things with coaching kind of fell through, I had a chance to, have a front row seat to 04, 05, 06 LSU basketball as, a student assistant to John Brady during that run. It was a great run. They won the SEC West, won the league, and went to the Final Four. They had SEC Players of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Defensive Players of the Year. It was a real kind of golden run during Brady's reign. But then 16 months later, he was fired after they went to the Final Four. And I kind of thought, look, man, I'd love to be around this competition. I'd love to be a coach, but I'd also want to be around my family, and I want to experience his, kind of some of the highs in life of, spending time with family and, being a dad and, not having the rug pulled out from under you. Like I saw it happen to Coach Brady after experiencing so much success. And, at that time, Gordy Rush was down here in Baton Rouge and getting 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge off the ground. And he had just hired Moscona. And I really beat down their door. I knew that was something that I could do. I knew that was something that I was going to be confident in. And, once I got that opportunity, we had a great 11-year run over there, from the sales side and from the radio side. We turned evening programming from 6 to 8 o'clock on Mondays and Thursdays to billable hours. Once they gave us the radio show in the morning in 2015, we really took that to another level. So I'm really proud about our time at Guarantee, and I'm really grateful for the relationships that I made during that time. That really kind of set me up to where I am now. They really kind of gave me the confidence and showed me the reins of the industry changing from traditional radio and television to more digital stuff like we're doing right here. And to embrace that and to learn how to sell it and learn how to analyze it, to get the analytics off of it, and be able to approach that with advertisers. And, it's just been a really cool evolution of the medium and the trade. And it's all built around the love for sports.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome, really. And you're definitely making a name for yourself, because we've been hearing about you a lot up here and everything. And yeah, every time Peyton comes on to a recording every Wednesday and Sunday, he's like, Jordy said this, Jordy said that. So you're definitely known in Jonesboro. I know
Jordy got Tyron. Jordy got Jacob Hester.
Yeah, when you got Tyron, man, that put it to another level.
Hey, look, and you know what? That did it. That brought our show to another level. What that did was, if you watched us this summer, it opened up, the lines of communication to the locker room. Once those guys saw that Tyron came on and Tyron trusted us and sat down with us for 45 minutes and answered all the questions and, really showed a lot of love on social media. And I was around the program during that time when he was there, and the players were able to see that we had a real genuine relationship. And once they realized that, we were getting DMs, we were getting inbox messages of guys that wanted to come on the show. They wanted to, open up and let people get to know him. And, we had John Emery on this morning, talking about his situation, what he's going through. And, he was able to kind of bring to light some of the things that we didn't know during that time when he found out about it, kind of how it got to this point. And, we're proud of that. We're proud that we're able to form those relationships and be able to, give these guys, almost like a comfort zone or, a safe place where they can come and talk, where we're not trying to break news. I'm not trying to, get a sound bite, but I'd love for them to open up and allow people to get to know them. And I think they appreciate that too. So, our show really kind of took off after Tyron came and sat down with us for an hour, because it really showed, I think, to the players and even the assistant coaches, that it was okay to come sit down and open up. I mean, a lot of those conversations trended away from football. I mean, that wasn't sure. We focused on football and how the team was going to look and what the season was going to be like. But, it was a lot more life discussion than what it was about ball.
Yeah. I love that John Emery interview this morning. You saw another side of him, and you saw him growing up. You could tell that he's finally realized this is my time and I better not ruin it, but
he is a senior, so he better not ruin it.
That's right. That's right.
So,
but yeah, no, and the coaches interviews you had, man, were phenomenal. Some of those guys I've known, throughout coaching process, but man, when they just sat there and opened up to you for 30 to 45 minutes, it was phenomenal to hear, just other than football conversations, just how they got their story, and because, man, them guys, like you were talking about with coaching, it's always moving carousel. You never know where you're at.
It's a grind, man. It's a grind. I was watching Mickey Joseph over the weekend in Ireland, coaching at Nebraska, and just knowing the not just the behind the scenes stuff of moving your family, getting kids out of school, moving across, halfway across the country, even though these contracts are filled with, hundreds of thousands of dollars and perks that, you and I would love to experience for, in our job. It's still the human element of, being away from your family, long hours on the road, hotels that are, lonely on at night, being away, so far away from everybody. There's very much a human element to this that I believe a lot of people overlook or, just don't take into thought. You buy your tickets and you show up to the game and you buy your program and you want them to win and all that's great. But at the end of it, they're still humans. And I think
Exactly.
this summer, I think this summer with those guys sitting down and, really opening up about that outside of ball, I think that kind of, it introduced them to it humanized them. I mean, there's things about them that are very relatable to people like us that, you don't realize that. And it makes you, look, I'm not saying that people aren't going to cuss Mike Denbrock if he makes a bad call on third down. But, I mean, there will be an understanding of, look, man, the guy's got a 10-year-old at home. I mean, he's a dad too. So
Not like he's trying to lose.
Exactly.
Well, that's like this spring, the new Louisiana Tech head coach, Sonny Cumbie. I was at Chick-fil-A in Ruston. He walks in with his family. They actually sit beside me. I wasn't trying to be rude. I just said, "Hey, coach, congrats on the job. Enjoy, being here." And he's like, "I'm just glad to see my family." He said, "I haven't seen my wife and kids in 3 months." He said, they just finally moved here. But we don't, he said, "We moved here, but we don't even have a house yet." And he's been here since January. And at that time, it was, I think, May. Yeah. So, I mean, it just shows you that, they're making all the money in the world. But yet again, man, I mean, you only get one opportunity with your kids. And
no doubt about it. I mean, and for as much as that money is, a lot of those guys can't even enjoy it. Yeah. Because there's so many days of like like Coach Cumbie told you, I mean, 3 months away from home. I mean, look, Brian Kelly, when he first got down here, we were highly critical of him in the media locally that you never saw him, you never heard from him, you didn't know what was going on. But come to find out when you showed up to spring drills, the guy was rehauling the entire program. I mean, he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't at home. I mean, there was stories about how his wife and him bought a house down here. It was almost like they didn't even tour it. They didn't even walk through it. They saw it from the curb. They loved it. They walked up, knocked on the door and just said, "How much? We want it. Move out." I mean, they just, it's a crazy life that we almost can't even fathom the level of just constant moving at 100 miles an hour and always having to be on. I mean, you guys and I, we put ourselves in the public all the time. You guys do it twice a week on Wednesday and Sunday nights. I do it daily. I mean, you put yourself in the public, you open yourself up for criticism. We've got no idea the level of openness to the public that those guys are.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
absolutely
you can't even fathom. I mean, just like that story you're talking about, going to Chick-fil-A with your family. I mean, you didn't bother him. You didn't intrude on him, but it's still there. He still can't go sit down at a just sit down without somebody saying, "Hey, coach, how are you? It's good to see you." So it's something that we're fascinated by it. You, I, all of us who cover it, and I think being able to show that angle of it is cool. The human side of it, really.
Yeah, especially and like all those coaches you did interviews with this summer, all the position coaches, those guys, they're trying to climb that ladder. And that's a year here, a year there. I mean, it's not like, okay, Brian Kelly, at least he has a 10-year contract now. He's finally, quote unquote, comfortable, I guess you could say. I don't think you're ever comfortable at a head coaching job, especially at LSU. But you're right, man. It opened my eyes when you were interviewing those guys, just thinking, man, that's just not a life. Because I grew up always wanting to be a coach.
Sure.
And I said, I want to be a college coach if I do it. And I was like, but man, you just see these guys fired and get ridiculed for so much, and why would you want to put your family through that? Because your kids are going to school.
Absolutely. And it's a great, when we're young, we're competitive, we're single, we don't have any kids, we're not tied down to anything. It's a great gig. You know what I mean? Like it's a phenomenal gig when I can stay in the office from sun up to sundown, recruit the best players in the country and work my ass off on trying to win games. But there's nobody at home that I'm missing time on. There's nobody in a crib that I'm missing growing up or missing first steps on. If you don't have that, then coaching is a dream job. But
Yeah.
once you begin to grow your family and begin life experiences, priorities change. And once those priorities change, the job doesn't become as appealing as it once did.
No, I agree with that. Absolutely. Going off that the coaches you did, who was your favorite interview with all the coaches at LSU?
Look, I thought they were all great, but I really enjoyed our conversation with Robert Steeples, the
That's the
cornerbacks
one I
coach.
was going to guess, and I
Yeah.
haven't even watched that interview. His story is just fascinating. How he's gotten to where he's
incredible.
at.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's what's most about it. And like we've talked about, kind of the human element, the relatable stuff. I mean, what's more relatable than that? I mean,
Yeah.
that guy was coaching high school football 6 years ago. 3 years later, 2 years later, he's coaching Patrick Peterson, I mean,
Yeah.
at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, and then the next thing you know, I mean, he's the cornerbacks coach at DBU. And for him to tell that story and get to that and learn how he got to that point in such a short time, and how he affected so many people, and how he got to where he is now. It was just fascinating. I think all of those guys are talented. I think they're all personable. You can see why they're great recruiters. You can see why they're phenomenal at their job. But Robert Steeple's story, to me, it really popped. It really just stood out of somebody that took a non-traditional route to get to a very high place in a very competitive industry. I mean,
Probably the most competitive industry.
Oh, it's cutthroat, man. It's cut.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for a job for one of the 10 position coaching jobs at a school like LSU that can change your life in a contract. I mean, that is a very, very cutthroat, competitive industry that, people will walk on heads to get that job, and to see where Steeples is in just a short time is very impressive. It wouldn't surprise me at all. 5 years from us doing this interview, he's the head coach at a major D1 school somewhere.
I agree. Yeah. And he could have sat comfortably in Missouri at that high school, been a nationally ranked team, everybody beloved him, winning all these games, but those guys got another thing in them that just keeps making them push more and more and more. And how he's pushed to where he's at, man, it's phenomenal.
It is. It is.
Yeah, so let's get into some LSU talk. Peyton, I
Yeah.
know you really want to dive into that. They play Sunday night, so
Yeah.
it's getting close, man.
Who is QB1?
Yeah, look, I think they're going to start Jaden Daniels. I think they're
I
going
do
to play
too.
Garrett Nussmeier. I think they're going to stick to that formula for the next couple of weeks. And look, it wouldn't surprise me if they have a role for both of these guys throughout the season. I really do believe that. And I've always subscribed to the theory, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Yeah.
But I very
Jefferson
much
and Lee.
believe that this is an outlying situation where these guys are very close competitively in the race. And, I think that the difference between them, to me, is Jaden Daniels' ability to be mobile. And not to say that Nussmeier by any means is Dan Marino. I mean, he can move back there and he can create some space with his feet, but Daniels he's the most elusive and fastest quarterback LSU. Man, I hate speaking in hyperbole in this position, because it feels like if you ever say something's the best I've ever seen or the fastest I ever saw, tomorrow you wake up and it trumps. But Jane Daniels he's got different types. He's got running back type speed at quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, like if he gets into the open, he could break it. I mean, he could take a quarterback sweep 65, 70 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
no problem. And, I think his accuracy has improved, but his experience is really, to me, what won out here. I think that was kind of the comfort factor with a guy like Kelly, who, you got 5 offensive linemen in front of this position that are either true freshmen, transfers, or playing in new spots, other than Cam Wire, who started at right tackle. You got, Will Campbell's a true freshman. Miles Frazier's a transfer from FIU. Garrett Dellinger is a first-time starter at center. Anthony Bradford's he's been training at tackle for the majority of camp now. He's playing guard. I mean, you just got a lot of, look, they're good players individually, but collectively, they haven't played together and they hadn't played those spots. So I think Daniel's experience gives Kelly a little bit more comfort, confidence, putting him behind that line and trying to figure it out. I think that they're going to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick to try and hide the weaknesses of that offensive line. And I think Daniels will be asked to, make some plays with his feet as well. So I think that Daniels will start the game. I think that Nussmeier will play. I think that they'll stick with that formula versus Southern. It wouldn't surprise me if they stuck with it versus Mississippi State in week 3 and even week 4 versus New Mexico, and still trying to figure it out before they get to Auburn, at the end of the month. So I see a couple of position groups like that actually on this team, offensive line, defensive back, where the competition will roll into the season.
Yeah. If you had to put some money down on it, come Bama game, he's QB1.
Nussmeier. I think that they probably want to get there. I think that Nussmeier checks more of the boxes as being a quarterback. He's got the bloodline. His dad's the coach. He's been playing the position for so long, but that ankle injury that kind of, nicked him up in fall camp, I think really kind of set him back as far as the race went. Would he have won the job if he wouldn't have gotten hurt? I'm not willing to say that. I just think that those 2 days that he missed out on, the race has been so close that, Daniels probably deserves it at this point, and them being so close competitively, I think that it was you could either go either way. And look, again, he hadn't made his announcement yet. And if he wakes up on Saturday and says he's starting Nussmeier, it wouldn't surprise me. It just, if I'm betting and I'm at the window and I got to make a play, I'd say that Daniel starts the game. But if you want to know who I believe starts the first game in November, I would lean towards Nuss.
I agree. Going off on that secondary talk, the guy that I think kind of keeps getting forgot about is Jay Ward.
Yeah.
I think he's a pro. Like, I think he
is a pro, and I think that's why he's not being talked about, because there's so many new faces on this defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you got in Jay Ward. Look, Ward might play himself into a high round draft pick. I mean,
I agree.
He's that good. I mean, I think that he's got potential to be, second, third round guy.
Like Flott did last year.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cordell Flott. And look at the impact he's making in training camp. I mean, he's going to be a guy that plays for New York this year. He might be their nickel guy.
Well, when they're versatile like that, man, that helps.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Jay Ward's played corner, and he's played on an island out there, and he understands what it's like to be versatile and what it calls to play. And I think that's why we don't overlook him. We don't. And look, John Emery and I were talking about him this morning. He's really, Ward has become kind of a vocal guy on that side of the ball, defensively. He's kind of begun to, kind of assert himself from a leadership standpoint. He'll come up and not, he came up and popped John in the spring game. Those are 2 guys that are buddies, and he let him know about it. But I think that was just kind of sending a message that it doesn't matter if we're roommates, it doesn't matter if you play for Alabama or Florida State. If you're in my vision line, I'm gonna light you up. And I think that everybody's kind of seen that here from him during this camp.
Who do you think the 2 safeties are going to be starters?
I think Major Burns is probably going to start, and I think Jay Ward will be back there with him to start it. But I think they got 8 defensive backs that they can play. And when I think they got 4 corners that in Mekhi Gardner, Jareek Bernard-Converse, Seven Banks,
Richardson,
and Kobe Richardson.
Let's talk about him for a second, man.
They can play those guys. Yeah, look, Richardson's been incredible, man. He really has. He's another one that, he passes all the vitals. When he gets off the bus, he looks like an LSU DB. Yeah, he looks the part. He comes out of.
I didn't know he looked the part until you interviewed him. I'm sorry.
No, I know. And look, man, they got potential to put 6'3" corners on each side, 210 pounds. When you talk about Mekhi Gardner and you're talking about Colby Richardson, I mean, those are 2 of the biggest corners I've ever seen. And for them to be on the field potentially at the same point is really, it'd be interesting to see how they're able to move in the Southeastern Conference when you got guys with so much speed on the other side of you. But, all indications is that they trust those guys. Seven Banks is slowly but surely getting himself back to full health. Once he becomes fully healthy, I think it'll be tough to keep him off the field. Talk about look the part. You know, I mean, he looks like Pat Pete, Corey Webster, like
Yes.
Cordell Flott. Yeah, I mean, name them. Greedy Williams. I mean, he looks like all of them. Christian Fulton that have come through here. Seven Banks just looks like the next guy in line. Stingley Jr.
That's a good name too.
Yeah, he's got it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
He's got a good name.
They've taken a look at him back there at returning punts, and I'd love to see it because he looks phenomenal back there
He does.
in the open field potentially. So, look, I think that they got. We talked about quarterback, how it's going to dip into the season with the competition. I think the entire defensive backfield is going to be the same way. I think Greg Brooks is going to be your starting nickel. You know, I don't think they trust Sage Ryan in man coverage as much as they'd like to, but I think he'll have.
He's gonna get there.
Yeah, he'll play. He'll play. And look, he's a great reserve to come off the bench, and I think he'll be your punt returner. Actually, I think that he'll probably be the guy that's going to be your number one punt returner. So
That's
it'll be
a
fun to
5-star
see.
that's coming off the bench like that. So
And look, comfortable with the ball in his hand. If you go back and watch his Lafayette Christian highlights, man, I mean, he was a phenomenal offensive player. You know, I mean, he just kind of he translated to DB because he was such a really good athlete. He never really focused on playing defensive back. They would put him back there because he was a ball. If the ball was in the air, he'd go track it and pick it. So, I mean, it was just kind of like put the best player in the best spot and let him go make the plays. And now him being focused on being a DB, when you're playing around guys that have played at this level for a while, it's tough to break through. But once he breaks through, it'll be tough to keep him off the field.
While we're on the defensive side of the ball, Harold Perkins.
He's a stud, they say, man.
I mean, another one you asked me by the end of September or early October, he should be in the starting lineup. I think it'll be impossible. I think he plays on Sunday. I think he plays throughout the month of September, but I think by the time you get to these quality matchups in the league, Perkins is going to be a guy that you're just going to have to account for. You're going to have
That's
to.
a future first round pick.
absolutely.
Future possibly top 10 pick. I mean, I think he's a
Things
new
go
age.
right.
He's a new age linebacker. Look, guys, with the instability around John Emery, I think that there was some real serious discussion a couple of weeks ago on possibly putting him at running back for a couple of reps, just to look at. But that gives you an idea of his ability to run. I mean, we put out a practice clip a couple of weeks ago of him moving laterally down the line of scrimmage and just kind of fighting through the wash and being able to get those offensive linemen's hands off of him while, not really breaking his speed or his pace. And he's just different. I mean, on a field at LSU where you got, 4 or 5-star freaks everywhere, Harold Perkins jumps out. He stands out. I mean, he really looks the part. Yeah. I mean, and as an 18-year-old true freshman, it's it really makes a bold statement when you find that out.
That's right.
Yeah. Before we move off of LSU, I want to bring up what excites me the most about Brian Kelly being here and everything is how he's recruited Louisiana, because for years, like Louisiana has all the talent in the freaking world, but it feels like we've always lost a couple of the top guys to other schools, Alabama mostly. But it feels like Kelly, he stepped in and he's made it happen. I love that.
No, definitely, man. And he's done a phenomenal job of being able to kind of close the gap here of late, because if you recall, I mean, he really kind of started his recruiting out by going nationally, and people were wondering like, what's going on, man? Is he going to be able to take care of the state? And, he's answered those questions. I mean, whether it's been 5-star wide receiver Shelton Sampson or 4-star safety in Kylan Jackson or Kai Preon down here in St. James. And, look, I think Zalance Hurd's going to give him some good news here coming up on September 1st. And I mean, I think that's just been another just kind of, feather in his cap here early on of, he's really passed a lot of the test. I mean,
he's acclimated really well.
He really has, man. I mean, Baton Rouge, LSU, Louisiana is a tough place to crack if you're an outsider. I mean, if you don't know the right people, I mean, if you just don't know the right people to stay away from, I mean, there's all types of politics and, people with ulterior motives. I mean, it's just, you got to be able to watch your back down here if you're an outsider. And I think that he's had the right people in his back, in his corner. Scott Woodward built a really nice team around him to make sure that that was able to happen as far as the acclimation went. But he deserves a lot of credit. I think the most impressive thing about Kelly to me in covering his program here early on is the way that he communicates. He is such a clear, direct communicator.
I said that the other day to them. I was like, guys, listening to him talk, this man runs a tight ship and he means business. And it's so refreshing to hear that. Like you listen to him, you sound, it feels like you're listening to like a CEO of like something.
It does.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is. And look, he is that. And I said this when he was hired and got a little bit of pushback, but I really believe this. I think that there's a certain class of football coaches that a certain personality fits. And I really believe that it's Belichick, Saban, and Brian Kelly that fit in a certain class that feel like they're running more of a business than they're running a football program, right? I mean, it's more of like what you said, a CEO approach of making sure the organization has everything it needs to succeed, and anything that's not performing to either try and improve it or cut it. Right. I mean, like some of the people that he fired when he came in here, or, just kind of turning the program over, were, they were staffers for 20, 25 years. I mean, dating back to Nick Saban, where the program, the building, the organization just needed an overhaul. And there were a lot of people that were intimidated to make some of those decisions because of the politics that would come along with it. And maybe this was, part of a good thing of being an outsider, where you don't know that stuff. You just come in and say, right. Well, I think that he had enough people around him to say, you're the one that needs to make this decision so the program can advance. So, he had the right people telling him, like, look, this is where a lot of the dead weight is in the program. I mean, either reshuffle where these people are, or you're going to have to remove them. And I think he came in, and I mean, it takes about 300 people, 250 people to run LSU football every single day. Fellas, he only kept 4 people. You know what I mean? Like you walk into that building and the entire organization is new, outside of Greg Stringfellow, Jack Marucci, and somebody, a couple in the weight department. It's a brand new building. It's a brand new building. So I think his ability to communicate, his ability to clearly define what everyone's role is and what he expects of that position, to me, allows you to show up to the office every day with motivation and a ability to perform. And he's done that. I think that's been, to me, the most impressive part. Without seeing him coach a game, without seeing him take the field and walk the sideline for LSU, the most impressive thing that he's done to me is his ability to just clearly communicate.
Well, and I think what you have him on some, Jay Crane said it best. He's like the stepfather that you didn't want, but you needed.
That's a great way to put it. And when Jake said that while we were at SEC Media Days in Atlanta, and I saw him that afternoon, and I said, that is a perfect description. Yeah. I mean, it is everybody can relate. I mean, everybody knows exactly what that is, who that is in your life, that you feared them coming around because they were the best for you. They weren't going to let you get away with all of the stuff that you've been getting away with that has, really set you back. And, Kelly trimmed a lot of the fat early on, man, and has leaned the program up to a place where it's running more efficiently and it's running faster at this point than I thought. Even, I think even his supporters, his highest supporters and administrators that hired him believed it would be. Yeah. They're giving away money in Vegas, telling you that LSU is going to only win 7 games.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're giving away money on Sunday night, favoring them by only 2.5 points.
Yes.
If you watch Florida State's offensive line, if you watch their defensive backs, no way, ain't no way they can match up with LSU. There's just no way.
Yeah. Saturday I'm throwing out some future bets.
Yeah, and I think going back to that, John Emery basically told us that this morning on your show. That's what Brian Kelly's the reason why he walked. Kelly had him in his office. He said, you either need to do this or you're done. And it was like, you could tell Emery needed that. That's what he's always needed, not a pat on the back, not be, kind of dance around him. Nobody wants to upset him. He needed that. And
let's cater to the 5-star, number 4 prospect in the country, or whatever he was.
Yeah.
No, let's sit him down like he's a walk-on and let's talk to him saying, this is what you need.
That's right.
And look at the response you got from him.
Oh,
he didn't miss a workout. He's got a 3.8 GPA. And when he's asked about Brian Kelly, he gushes.
Yeah.
He loves the guy. He respects him because he knows that Kelly's got his best interest at heart. And I think that you can feel that from a lot of people.
And let's be honest, a lot of those guys need that. They need that father figure. A lot of them haven't had that.
They've been told about how great they are for so long, and then they come to a campus where they're not the best athlete out there anymore.
Yeah.
And it's time to kind of wake up and answer the bell.
And go to work.
And I think coaching has a lot to do with how those kids respond. I really do.
Well, I think he's worth 1 or 2 wins.
Oh, for sure.
It's an exciting time to be an LSU fan. I know that.
And something else real quick. One of my favorite things that he has done is whenever he came in, we had no DBs. He attacked the portal and went after Louisiana guys who went elsewhere and brought them home.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably one of the best things he could do.
Smart move. His new, what he's selling is graduate champions, where it used to be NFLSU, where LSU was bringing you in and they wanted you to stay for 3 years and they wanted to get you to the league. It worked, but it never really built a camaraderie for the program. It never built a culture. Well, the culture was get in and get out, right? Rather than get in, graduate, fall in love with the place, and come back and give, and it'll give to you. And I think that's what Brian Kelly is trying to form here is, the 40-year relationship rather than the 4-year relationship is something that Kelly is very stern on selling right now on the recruiting trail. And I think he's getting a lot of positive return on it.
Well, I know you talked about Woodward just a minute ago, and another great interview you had was with him. Which hire do you think is the best hire he made so far? Since he's
Frank Wilson.
It'd be tough to it'd be tough to argue Frank, because what we just talked about, his dominance in the state of Louisiana.
You have to win Louisiana recruiting.
And
you have to.
And I mean any sport down there, of any of the sports down there.
Well, look, it's tough. It's tough to ignore what Kim Mulkey's got going on. It's tough to ignore what Jay Johnson's done in the transfer portal here. Look, Matt McMahon, you could write a book on what Matt McMahon was doing in the roster he's put together in just a short time. So, one thing's for sure. This is Scott Woodward's program now. This is his operation. This is his athletic facilities and program, and all of his people are in place. And, he's got the support behind him that he needs to see if these people can succeed. And if they do, LSU is about to enter, it feels like, in another golden period of athletics. I think that we're coming out of, an unbelievable run over the last 22 years where, LSU's football program has seen the mountaintop 3 times. They've been to the game 4 times. The women's basketball team has gone to the Final Four 3 times. The men's basketball program's been to the tournament. The baseball program's won championships. It's been a hell of a 20-year run, but over the last couple of years, it's gotten a little dirty. It's gotten a little muddy. It's gotten a little, it's starting to slip a little bit. And, Woodward was able to kind of, revitalize the place in a couple of hires. I think Kelly initially, Kim Mulkey obviously was huge, bringing her in, and, seeing the success that Jay Johnson and Matt McMahon have had in recruiting really kind of leaves you waiting for some success in those corners as well. So, look, man, Scott Woodward he's as connected as he's almost, he feels like a mobster. He feels like a Don. He feels like like the Godfather when you're around him, just because of the unsaid respect that you feel, just happening around him. So he's got all the politicians, he's got all the money donors, he's got the support of the coaches and the fans, and he's sitting and got LSU athletics in a really good spot.
Yeah, it feels great to be an LSU fan, honestly, right now. But I think we need to talk a little bit about the Saints, because today they made a pretty interesting move that I wasn't a big fan of. And I know y'all guys weren't either. So
No.
let's talk about the Saints and especially the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson move.
Yeah,
What do you think about
look,
that?
I think that this is the business of the NFL. I think that's the danger of, these markets when you fall in love with players and players have these personalities like Johnson does, where it's so easy to like him. It's so easy to fall in love with him, and he feels like New Orleans. He feels like the franchise. He really kind of fit the mold of what you were looking for there. But, behind closed doors, they couldn't get it figured out. They couldn't get to a number that they agreed on. And, even the part that pissed me off the most is what you got back for him. I mean, like,
yes,
you got no value for a guy that means a ton to the franchise, but it just kind of showed you how far off they were. That's what that told me, was that the Saints were like, we got to get rid of him. And
I think what really hurt is right now, a week before. If it had been a month ago, I might have
probably could have sold me on it.
Yeah, I could have sold me on it. But a week before the season, and then you get nothing back for him. Like, not give me a player.
Almost like it was just a roster cut.
Or a
like
pick.
That.
Give me a high pick or something.
Second round,
give me
or something. I mean,
crap. Give me a third.
Yeah, right. I'd have taken a third. I'm with you, but it just, I think that's just the business of it. I mean, and look, for as much as I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and he's one of my favorites, the Saints, they can overcome this. They're that good. I mean, like their roster is so well built, and they've done such a great job of scouting, specifically at the safety position. I mean, like, they got a couple of players back there that I saw during preseason where you're like, damn, it's gonna be tough to keep that guy off the roster.
Yeah.
So, I think because they've done such a great job in their scouting and in their drafting and in their, team building, that when hard decisions like this pop up, you got to be able to make them. And I hate it. It's a bad day for New Orleans as far as a fan goes, but this is the reason why I love them. This is the reason why I think they're good, is because they're able to make these hard decisions of, if you pay Johnson and it doesn't work out from the financial standpoint, you set the franchise back. But if you're strong enough and bold enough to make a move like this, and you trust in your scouting and trust in your player development like the Saints have in the past couple of years, that's how you stay relative and competitive when you lose people like Sean Payton, Drew Brees, and beyond. I mean, that for any other franchise, it feels like that would have lost those types of personalities. You usually find them having the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And
we're going to be a playoff team probably.
The Saints feel like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, they retooled more than they rebuilt it, for sure.
They do. You know what they do better than anybody is that they maintain the plane while it's flying. They're able to service the plane in the air. You know what I mean? Like, as you're going through salary and cap hits and contracts, they're able to plug and play. I mean, you lose Marcus Williams to the Baltimore Ravens and you replace him with Marcus May. I mean, like, that's
a lot cheaper too.
Yes, from a business standpoint, it was smarter, and you were able to get a really good player. I mean, it just they're able to do some things with the money and the scouting that have kept them so competitive that they've been almost a model franchise for the last 15 years.
It goes back to the culture thing we were just talking about with Kelly's brought to LSU, is they have a culture down there. And
Absolutely.
they have in the locker room, man,
and that's why they had to get rid of him. It feels like, because he would have become a locker room cancer, honestly.
And he could have been.
If he didn't get his money and had to play out his final year, not making what he thought he should make, you can't risk losing that locker room.
Right.
People don't realize that, like with football, the locker room atmosphere takes a team somewhere. It really does. They'll make your team play better than they're supposed to be, or they'll make them play worse than they're supposed to be, depending on how good that locker room is.
Yeah, you could see that with the 49ers, what they just did with Jimmy G. They made sure whenever they restructured that contract that his number was lower than Lance's.
Exactly.
Just something little like that can change a lot of the whole dynamic of a team.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
You got any Saints questions, Peyton? I
Yeah.
know you do.
Man, yeah, absolutely. The Honey Badger, have you talked to him a lot since training camp has started?
Are we okay? Like, is he okay? Is he happy?
Yeah, he's
Oh, yeah. He's good, man. Like I think that
Crap, he's scaring everybody.
He did, man. But he's locked in. He's in a great place mentally. I've talked to him a couple of times since training camp's been going, and he loves being home, man. He loves being a part of the Saints. He loved being in the Dome last Friday night and being able to play out there in front of the home crowd, and sitting on the sideline and kind of waiting for that game to end while they played New Orleans rap in the Dome. And it just all that stuff, really is kind of, brings him back. So, look, it's still surreal to see. I mean, last night we were in the Dome on Friday night, and Tyrann Mathieu makes the first tackle of the game. Jarvis Landry makes the first catch of the game. I mean, it's still wild to see that.
Don't pinch me.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it really is. But they still got football left in the tank. So, I mean, it's going to be a couple of years here watching them, and it'll be fun.
That might be the best picture ever with them together holding the helmet. LSU,
Yeah,
with the Saints. I'm going to get that. We're going to have it right here on the wall soon. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it big and blown up.
No doubt about it.
So bad. Dennis Allen, are you comfortable with them?
Yeah,
I feel like he's keeping the plane up in the air flying, like you were just talking about.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, Allen he's been preparing for this role, whether it be with the Saints or whether it be with another organization. I think he was hungry for another opportunity after what his run looked like and ended like in Oakland. I mean, he did a really good job out there, and it didn't work out like he wanted to, and Saints were able to bring him back. And look, he's in a great situation for his next head coaching gig. And I think, being alongside and being in Sean Payton's back pocket for the last 4 seasons is going to play dividend. It's going to pay, really great payoff for him. I think that you've seen some of the ways that he's carried his organization, and it's very similar to that, but he's added his personality into it. And I think that, I'm very comfortable with Allen, and, more the infrastructure of the organization, of the franchise, I think is built to win, built to last.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if that's what the locker room wants, and that's what I want. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
If they were pleased, why shouldn't we be pleased?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think he brings a element to the team that I don't know. Peyton, I'm not going to say it was all about me guy, but Peyton wanted to have a little spotlight on him. Allen kind of the one that sits back a little, and I think we needed that.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like he's going to let the because also we hadn't had LSU guys since Peyton's really been there. You know, maybe there was something there with Peyton not wanting the LSU guys there in the organization.
Well, no, it looks like it. And the other one that I look into is Mike Thomas. I mean, Mike Thomas is a totally different guy now that Peyton is gone. And I don't know anything, but it just definitely seems like that, he's in a different mental space. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So
are you a Taysom Hill fan? Do you want to play quarterback at all?
I do believe that if they get to a third guy, it'll be Taysom, but I don't think he is a quarterback, but I love him. I love him as a football player.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. He is a football player. I like that. That's a good answer.
He is.
So before we end this,
I support that.
Yeah. Before we end this, I think, how about you give us your prediction for the Saints and for LSU? What do you think their records are this year?
I think LSU's going to win 8 games. I think they'll go 8-4.
Is that with the Tennessee win or loss? That's the game that I can't figure out.
Yeah, the Tennessee game's a swing game for me, but I think it being at home, I think that kind of gives them a nice little bump there. But it wouldn't surprise me if they got beat on a field goal in that one either. That's going to be that's going to be a really good game. But I got them winning 8 games. And I think that they could potentially, go to a bowl game and get to 9. And I think that would be a nice run for Brian Kelly in year 1. I really do. And I think that they can win, 11, 12 games in NFC South. I think that roster, I think that defense is potentially a top 5 unit, maybe a top 3 unit. And if Jameis Winston can, if he can stay right, man. I mean, look, you want to talk about a future bet, throw a little pepper on him, maybe with an MVP. You know,
Hey,
dude,
last year I bet on him to lead the NFL in passing yards, so that didn't work. But
or at least comeback player of the year. Comeback player of the year.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I think he's an easy front runner for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Jameis. Definitely.
Me too, man.
Yeah. And we talked here. If he can just give us 33 touchdowns and 14 to 15,
I'll take
picks,
I'll take 18 interceptions.
You know, that's all we need. I
I'll
feel
take
like.
that.
Right. No, it is, man. And look, they got weapons everywhere, man. They got weapons everywhere.
And just threaten to stretch the field. Like that's
Well,
all
now
I'm looking
you are.
for.
Now you are with him and Olave.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so Walker Howard, is he the real deal?
Yeah, I think he's the best quarterback on the team.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
just
what I
just
figured.
pure talent. He's the best guy. He's the best thrower of the football on the team. Now that Brennan's gone, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, as far as just natural skill,
Comes out different.
spinning it. I mean,
I can't wait.
no, look, I think
And-
he'll play next year. No, I think he'll be in a really.
I was about to
solid-
ask you that.
I think
You
he'll.
think they'll have a competition?
Oh yes, he's too
Yeah.
good. He's too good.
Yeah,
He's too good. And look, it's not disrespecting the other guys, but
exactly.
if Walker Howard's right, if everybody's right, if everybody's healthy, and it's a year of competition, I'd put my money on Howard.
Yeah. Great. Well, next time you talk to Tyron, tell him about Dirty Boot Sport. Tell him that I am his biggest fan in the world. So I'd love to talk to him. But this is awesome, man, for sure. I'm geared up. I'm ready for the season.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm pumped up.
I appreciate you boys having me, man. Y'all got it
yeah.
going on up there, bro. Y'all got a great set and a great design. Keep plugging at it. Keep working at it. I tell everybody, man, the key to this business is consistency.
Yeah.
The ones that are consistent are the ones that make it. And that's the hardest part in this business, man.
Definitely.
Is on a day when you look up and they got it, you down in the dumps, you having a bad day, you got a headache, you got something going on with your girlfriend, whatever it may be, you just do the show. Just do it, man. The people will appreciate it. You guys are putting out really good content. You obviously care about it. You love it. So keep it up. If there's ever anything I can do to help, man, please let me know.
Appreciate
we
that
appreciate that
Jordy.
a lot
For sure.
Absolutely,
For sure. We've
man.
enjoyed this.
And we will definitely get your show advertised up here for you too, bud. I know I do already. But.
Yes, he does.
Man, I appreciate that, fellas. And I'll make sure to promote you guys in the morning for having me on.
Thanks,
All right.
man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all keep up the hard work. Thank y'all.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. See ya.